All Falcon fan, this is your boy Recondo coming back at you with another video. So today we're going to talk about the actual keys to victory for the Atlanta Falcons against the Cleveland Browns in Atlanta this weekend. Before we get started with this video, guys, if you have not already, go ahead and please subscribe to the channel. Please hit that notification bell so you know when I drop another video. Please hit the like button so I know you guys like to hear what I talk about. Then please share my video throughout the YouTube universe so more people could come in to hear me talk about these Atlanta Falcons. So let's get a quick take where we're at. Patterson, not to a surprise, where's the offensive player of the week. Put up 140 one rushing yards against the Seattle Seahawks. Dynamic, and also he had a Veterans Day off today, which is probably well deserved for him coming in, making sure that he's ready to go. I know you think about what happened with him last year, kind of wore down towards the end of the season. That's why I think Tyler Algier is definitely need to be a big piece moving forward, being able to give Cordell Patterson, a break, a couple of series if it's possible. Um, he sit out a couple of series, not just a couple of plays, but if he can sit out a couple of series to give him that time to try to create that two-headed monster at running back. Um, Tyler Algier still a rookie, still learning the game. I think he need to hit the hole a little bit faster if possible and things like that. But going into this game this weekend against the Browns, it's going to be critical for us to do certain things. Arthur Smith mentioned that, we all understand that it was exciting to get the win from last week, but we still 1-2, have not been at 500 in a long time. To me, I think this is a big stepping stone for this team. If we can somehow get to 2-2, we really, bode well for this team this week. This is one of the teams I had us coming into this season being able to actually, get a victory at home against Jacoby Brissett. What's going on, Thea? Um, so this one of the things that I definitely feel like we have a chance to win this game, but the Atlanta Falcons have to do certain things to actually win this game this weekend. Playing a good Cleveland Brown team who's actually 2-1 as well. So both teams 2-1. I know they really wish they can take that game back that they actually lost against the New York Jets. They had that game in hand, and if you go back and watch that, they in the last minute and some change they actually lost it. One thing we can say about the Cleveland Brown, their secondary has been um, really getting shredded, especially when they get in zone coverage. So that's one of the things we probably could take advantage of. Um, so that's the one thing we definitely need to look at moving forward. But, guys, we're going to go ahead and get into these keys today. And we're going to start with, you guys know how I do. I go offense, I go defense, and then I go special teams. And we talk about how we can actually um, make these keys work for us this week. Last week, a lot of the things that I had brought up in the keys, the Atlanta Falcons was able to do that. They was able to run the ball. They was able to put the ball into Geno Smith's hands, especially in that second half, and that's what we wanted to do. And we was able to hold these guys in the red zone from a defense standpoint, and we was able to put points on the board in the offense in the red zone. So those are some of the things that were the keys from last week that worked well for us for the Atlanta Falcons, and hopefully this week these keys that, in my opinion, that I think that if we do these things moving forward this week, the Atlanta Falcons can come out again on top and be a winner. Like I said, we haven't been 500 in a long time, and this will definitely help us being 2-2 going into the Tampa game. They got a tough game this weekend as well against the Kansas City Chiefs. So let's see, can we probably at least be at 500 sometimes in the season, which we have not been there in a while with these Atlanta Falcons. Right, so like I said, we're going to talk about the offensive keys first. And I feel like if the Falcons do these things on the offensive side of the ball, I definitely think that they have a chance to actually come out successful this weekend. So the first thing I want to talk about is the run the ball. Right, Atlanta Falcons is fifth in rushing, um, which is awesome. One of the things that we know that Arthur Smith wants to do is run the ball. We saw that track record and how successful his offense was in Tennessee when he was able to run the ball. Definitely different running backs, Cardell Patterson, Derrick Henry, you know, King Henry is a big dude, big back. But Cardell Patterson is not small. Neither is Tyler Algier. So running the ball is one of the things I think we able to do. For one reason, we want to be able to control the clock, um, time management. That's always, I think, a key. Keep our defense fresh on the sideline, being able to control the clock, things like that. I think it definitely be help us. We also got to keep in mind we have to take advantage of our offensive snaps that we have, because on the flip side, we know that what Cleveland Brown wants to do as well. So the offensive snaps in this game could be limited because the Cleveland Brown is not a team that wants to go and speed up the offense. They want to dominate in the line of scrimmage, sort of like what the Atlanta Falcons want to do. So um, every offensive snap that we get moving forward, especially in this game, is going to be key for us to make sure that we actually manage our offensive snap. We want to make sure we don't make any penalties, get a lot of penalties that push us back and get us out of our offensive rhythm. The one of the worst things you can do, get a holding penalty on 1st and 10 and put you back in 1st and 20, because now you behind the snap, and it kind of messes up your whole rhythm on offense. So that's one of the things that I definitely think that we need to make sure that we do this week is run the ball, control the clock, and take advantage of our offensive snaps that we have, which means we need to capitalize on those possessions, because we don't know how many possessions we're going to get, because we know on the flip side our opponents want to manage the clock as well and keep their defense off the field. One of the things that I think, if we could have a clean game from a turnover perspective, and the first 3 games we have turned over the ball, um, on the offensive side of the ball, we have to try not to make any turnovers this week. We had 2 turnovers last week. Did not cost us the game, but we know when you're in the negative in turnovers, it's always something that definitely can really hinder you, moving forward. So one of the big keys that I want to talk about today is making sure that we do not turn over the ball. I felt like the first turnover that we had last week was really not such a big deal. Um, Probably should have just nailed the ball and went into halftime. Archie Smith mentioned he probably won't do that again, because that's the second time this season he actually took a shot, going into the half, and it was picked off. So um, both of those times we didn't get hurt on it, but still, that was the first turnover. Then we all know what the second turnover was, with the read option keeper mishap between Tyler Algier and Marcus Mariota. We definitely don't want to see mistakes like that. Whoever fought it was, the quarterback, the running back, it doesn't matter. We have to clean up those mistakes. Like I said, that did not cost us this game, but we can say some of the turnovers the first 2 weeks did. So try to have a clean game this week. Do not turn over the ball. We definitely can't see turnovers. That's one of the things that I definitely don't want to see from this offense. Another key um, is take advantage of your mismatches. I talked about if the Cleveland Browns do decide to run their zone. Right now, when they're playing in zone defense, it seems like they've been having miscommunications, and teams been finding holes to actually exploit. If you go back to the New York Jets game, that's how they had a receiver running free down the sideline, because miscommunication. Somebody wasn't covering their zones, and if go back and look at a lot of the plays that they have given up in the passing game, has also been when they're in the zone. Like I said, uh, just the third game of the season, so they still, learning, what's asked of them from a defensive standpoint. But in our case, we definitely want to be able to take advantage of the mismatches that we have. For an example, Kyle Pitts, we know if they do split him out wide, he's going to be on a smaller corner. Denzel Ward or Greg Newsome, those guys are cornerbacks, pretty good cornerbacks, but they still, smaller. So I think Kyle Pitts can take advantage of that. Him and Drake London, both of those guys are bigger body receivers. So both of those guys should be able to take advantage with those 50-50 balls. So if Marcus Mariota want to take a shot, that's something that we definitely should be able to do. Take a shot with our mismatches. Um, so definitely we want to see Arthur Smith go back to some of the things he did well in the last game, getting Kyle Pitts, involved early in the game, making sure if the coverage is going to be, put towards Kyle Pitts, he found other receivers like a Alumde Zacchaeus. Cordell Harsh did not have a big game, but Zacchaeus, London, and Pitts had good games last week. We love to see the distribution of the ball, making sure it gets to different receiver. Fersker had a catch last week as well. Avery Williams was able to touch the ball on offense. All the multiple things that we're able to do, we got to be able to take mismatches of that. It's going to be interesting to see because we ran so well last week. Do they decide to play more man defense? And if they do, like I said, we definitely should be able to take advantages of those mismatches because now basically they're saying that their cornerbacks is going to be one-on-one with some of our top targets. So we definitely, if they decide to play man-to-man coverage and they want to put 8 in the box against our running attack, we definitely got to see that. Also, it's going to be interesting to see from an offensive standpoint if Myles Garrett or Jadeveon Clowney play this weekend. We know Jadeveon Clowney was nursing an injury last week. We all know what happened to Myles Garrett with his accident. I'm glad to see that he actually came out good on the other end of that, but we'll have to just see, having your car flip over and, then coming out there and playing a football game that same week. Will be interesting to see if he play. However, the head coach have not ruled neither one of those guys out. Of course, they could just be making sure that the Falcons have to plan for those guys, which I think they was going to do that anyway. Two of their best pass rushers on the team. So that's one of the things you don't want to not playing for guys because you're not 100% sure if they're going to play or not. So that's definitely one of the things we want to make sure that we do is take advantage of our mismatches, especially if these guys decide to stack the box to stop our running attack and put their guys on island one-on-one with a Drake London or Kyle Pitts. And then the last thing on offense, the keys that I really want to talk about is the red zone and on third downs, right? We did go back and look at our percentage from last week. We was 75% in the red zone. That should be able to win every week for you. If you get in and you score more touchdowns than you do kick field goals, we always going to see that. So we're able to put points on the board. Like I said earlier, especially what's going on, Bubblegum, especially taking advantage or your on possessions. Because remember the first key was run the ball, clock management, and take advantage of the possessions that you have because you might not hold the ball that much because we know they want to run the ball and utilize the clock as well. So you might have less possessions in the game on the offensive standpoint. So you want to make sure that when you do get in the red zone, you scoring touchdowns, not field goals, because you might have limited possessions. In some games, that's what's happened. What's going on, James? Sometimes that's what happens with teams, especially in games, especially two teams that want to run the ball, want to manage the clock, offense possessions could be limited because of the time possession on each side of the ball. So when you get the ball, especially when you get in the red zone, you want to be able to manage those possessions and put points on the board and not kick field goals. So we talking about touchdowns in the red zone. So we can duplicate what we did last week. We were 75% in the red zone, and we can duplicate that. I always want to be 100%, but I love those percentages. 3 for 4, we can live with that. And then on third down is always big. But we all know, in my opinion, when you're thinking about third down, it always comes down to first and second down first. So we got to make sure that we're efficient on first and second down to put us in good third down downs. Because if we get in third and long, things like that, you look at the percentages, it's harder for guys to complete those percentages. So we want to stay within third and four, third and five, or even less. That's always a good thing. We want to make sure that Marcus Mariota is efficient with his throws. He completed 13 throws last week. Most of those throws went for a first down. So those are positive things that we can actually take out of the game last week from an offensive standpoint. Those are the keys for me from the offensive side of the ball. If those guys was to go out and do that from an offensive standpoint, I think we would be successful in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium this weekend. So just to recap the offensive side, we want to make sure we run the ball, control the clock, take advantage of your possessions, make sure that every possession counts. We want to try not to have a first game of the season with no turnovers on offensive side of the ball. We have turned over the ball 3 straight weeks. So now I'm pretty sure we definitely in the negative there. So we got to start playing a clean game and no turnovers. We want to take advantage of our mismatches. We want to, if they decide to stack the box to stop our running game, they decide to go man-to-man. We want to make sure that guys like Kyle Pitts, Drake London, we want to be able to give those guys opportunities to make plays down the field. And then the last thing, keys on offense, is the red zone. Take advantage of that. And third downs. Make sure we stay, have a great percentage on third downs as well. We do those things on offense, guys. I feel like we definitely can be successful, and I'm interested to see what you guys had to say about that. All right, let's get into the defensive keys for this week. Our defensive keys this week. So before we talk about the defensive keys, I'm just go over some of the stats for the Cleveland Browns, which is really impressive, especially in that running game, what they're trying to do. So in the first game of the season, Nick Chubb ran for 141 yards, 6.4 yards per carry. Kareem Hunt ran for 46 yards, 4.2 yards per carry. So we already know what the deal is, right? We already know what our mission need to be right out the bats, right? When we talk about this defense, we it's 100% understand that for this defense, the first key for us is definitely being able to stop the run. It's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We definitely need to make sure that the game plan is to stop the run. It's no secret that this team wants to run the ball. Um, we said the same thing about Seattle, but believe me, we all know that when you're averaging 6.4 yards and 4.2 in a game against a pretty good defensive front with the Carolina Panthers, that scares me a lot. So their focus need to be on stopping the run 100%. We know we got a solid quarterback back there. Jacoby Brissett. He's not a scrub. He can play in this league. So, but Atlanta Falcon focus, and this is one thing. Like I said, we know for a fact that they're going to run the ball. It's no secrets about that. They're not going to come out and try to trick us and throw the ball around the field. No, They're the Cleveland Browns. They got Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb. They're going to come out and try to run the ball. So the first key, and I think if anybody that's doing keys to victory for the Atlanta Falcons and they don't have, this is one of the keys. I don't know what rock they've been hiding up under, because the first key for defense side of the ball for the Atlanta Falcons is stopping the run 100%. Look at the Jets. He only had 87 yards, but 5.1 yard a carry. And Kareem Hunt ran for 58 yards, 4.5 yard per carry. So the point I'm making from a defensive standpoint, if we can't stop these guys, I mean, and they're getting 4 or 5 yards, 6 yards a carry. So um, that's going to keep our defense on the field a lot. And think about it. I talked about first and second down for our offense, but getting 5 yards, 6 yards on first down is already putting those guys in good position to do all kind of things they want to do on second and third down, right? So stopping the run is definitely our number one key. And then in the last game against the Steelers on last Thursday, um, um, Chuck put up 113 yards, 4.9 yards a carry, and Kareem Hunt also had 4.47 yards. So just think about it. In each game, they already ran over 100 yards, by averaging probably about 120, 125 yards a game in the first three games. So no secret what the Browns all about. We know what they're trying to do, but we have to be able to stop the run. I don't know the game plan Dean Pease had. Maybe they might go, bring out the 4-3 look in the front. So go a little bit bigger in the front. Put your 3 linebackers in the back, or Troy Anderson and Rashawn Evans and a Michael Walker in the back, and then let your back secondaries play a little man to man. I'm kind of confident with our secondary players. Maybe they can hold up. So we got to be able to to go there and see what we'll be able to do. Thea said we got to stop Chug. That's 100% correct. We got to be able to stop. I mean, this guy squatting 800 pounds in the during the off season, doing his off season workouts. It's just ridiculous. And we know for a fact no arm tackles. Um, so my second key on defense is tackling. Right, when we talk about tackling, my second key is we have to make sure we tackle, right? And we can't arm tackle. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt are good backs. Nick Chubb is going to be physical. We know this team want to be physical. They have a great offensive line. So we got to make sure that we tackle. We have to game tackle. If anything, make sure. Um, but like I was saying, if we go to a 4-3 front, 3 linebackers, and put our cornerbacks out there against you know, their receivers and tight ends, yes, we're going to play a little bit more man-to-man coverage, but I'm okay with that, because if we can, make them pass the ball more, not that's not something that they want to do. They want them to go out and try to actually run the ball. So if we can put them and make them pass the ball, that's okay. James says last time we played them, our defense didn't play well. Yeah, I mean, it didn't, but this is a different defense. Not meaning anything, but I mean, we definitely can't look at the last time we played the Browns. Last time we played the AFC North, we were 0-4. So let's go ahead and put that in perspective. Last time we played um, the AFC North, we went 0-4, but that was with the other regime. That wasn't with this regime, Arthur Smith. So we can just take that, and yes, the Falcon history with the AFC North, it is what it is, but we can't really look at what we did in the last time. 4-3 is better against the run than the 3-4, 100%. That's why I think they should go 4-3. Now they could, go with the big nickel, and they could bring somebody like Eric Harris back in. I think they did that. If you look at what they did with the Los Angeles Rams, they brought Eric Harris. He played more in that game. Came in and played that big nickel. He has played some linebacker. I know he played linebackers when he played with the Aints. So we could see them go big nickel, so they could throw different fronts at the Cleveland Brown. That's one thing about DMP's defense. It is multiple. So he can go from that 4-3 to that 3-4 and bringing that big nickel in like a Mike Harris, and we could see him do something like that as well. But we'll just have to see what the game plan is. Like I said, I really think they should go 4-3, and then just you have our defensive backs. They have to just man up and play more man to man, because we're going to put 8 in the box. And I would like to have 3 linebackers, Troy Anderson, a Michael Walker, Rashawn Evans, or even a Nate Landman coming in and actually being that those 3 linebackers on the backside of those 4 defensive linemen. Um, they know our defense has to step up, especially at home, at 100%. Like I said, you guys wasn't here earlier, but in my opinion, if the Falcons can go 2-2, which we haven't been 500 in a while in the season, so just going 2-2 would be definitely um, a good a boost for this team, especially the confidence boost. Playing a good team like the Cleveland Browns. I know the record saying they're 1-2, but it's a pretty good Browns team, especially what they're trying to do. And I think it's going to be their strength against maybe, a little worrisome for me, because remember last year we gave up 2,200 rushing yards. So, and one thing I really don't like is um, not being able to stop what a team wants to do. All right, we know these guys want to run the ball. They know they want to run the ball. It's no secret. And if you look at the first 3 weeks, every team they played knew they wanted to run the ball, and guess what? They couldn't stop them from running the rock. Um, so that's why I think it's the key for us to switch it up. I'm really interested to see how they decide what kind of front they decide to come out here with, but that's one of the thing is my second key is tackling, right? We know they're gonna run. We got to be able to break tackles. Last time Nick Chubb played the Atlanta Falcons, he had a 90-some yard touchdown because we had a lot of missed tackles on that play. So that's one of the things we definitely got to look at with Nick Chubb. So definitely, hopefully, we can actually see Nick Chubb actually not play well in this game. He's a Georgia Bulldog. I love Nick Chubb to death, but in this game, I hope he does not play well. The next thing we got, we want to make, and I had this key last week, and doggone it, Geno Smith almost did it. And I want to make Jacoby Brissett beat us. I mean, it's just that simple. Um, their strength is their offensive line and their running game. So if we can take that away, we want to make Jacoby Brissett beat us with his arm. We have to just see that, right? Um, that's not their strength. So if we can take away their strength and put the ball in Jacoby Brissett's hand, make him throw the ball more, um, a lot of things could work. We can actually, put pressure on him. I think it'll help cause turnovers, give our defensive backfield a chance to pick the ball off. All kind of things happen, holding penalties, like we got from Grady last week to help us win that game. All kind of things happen. So if we can actually stop their strength and stop the run and put the ball in Jacoby Brissett's hand, that's what I want to see from this team. So my third key is definitely on the defensive side of the ball is make Jacoby Brissett beat you. All right. Like I said, I had that key last week on Geno Smith, and he almost did it. But I rather, especially this team, to have Jacoby Brissett go off instead of Nick Chubb. We definitely got to be able to, stop the pass as well. I think we're not. If you go look at our passing defense right now, overall, it's probably not that good. But last week we was able to give up a lot of passing yards, but at the same time, we was able to be efficient in the red zone and our red zone defense. So um, those are kind of things we can look at. But for what I want to see, Jacoby Brissett be able to have to throw the ball. Um, over 20 sometimes. If he can we make Jacoby Brissett be a passer, throw the ball over 20, 25 times, I think that means that the Falcons have did their job and made him be the guy to force them to try to move the ball down the field because we're stopping the run. So um, that's one of the things. James said we have to play 60 minutes, 100%. I think that goes without saying, especially with this Falcons team, right? Our track record, playing looking good for not the whole game, however minutes it is. We can go all the way back in history. We'll have to relive the Super Bowl. We just go back to this season, and in the first two games of the season, we did not play a 60-minute game, right? So we have to be able to play 60 minutes. Um, I think that should be a key every game right off the bat. Arthur Smith should go ahead and put it his every week before on Wednesdays when he started putting a game plan out. First thing he should say, we need to play 60 minutes. So Thea said Gino was scary. Now I think he's he's good. Wanting to beat up the division. Yeah, he was, man. Yeah, Gino looked pretty good. I really do. I don't know if it was because we made him look that way, but he looked like he knew where he wanted to go with the ball. The biggest thing was we couldn't get any pressure on Geno Smith. So if we're gonna make Jacoby Brissett beat us, we got to be able to pressure him and not let him get comfortable back there, right? Any quarterback in this, pro quarterback in this league, they got time. They definitely gonna be able to read their progressions and find the guy that they want to find, because, especially if they know the offense. So that's definitely something that we got to consider, making sure that if we do put it in Jacoby Brissett's hand, we're able to actually beat him and get to him and get him off his spot at least. My next key is we want to limit Amari Cooper and David Njoku. We did these guys have been their go-to guys for Jacoby Brissett against the Jets. Amari Cooper had 109 receiving yards on 9 receptions. So he's a great route runner. He's not one of those definitely like explosive guys that we have to worry about. But Amari Cooper is a route technician. So he's definitely going to know how to run routes and how to find those openings to get open, things like that. So we have to limit Amari Cooper. So go back to the other key. I just said we want Jacoby Brissett to beat us, but we cannot let Amari Cooper be open out there in that backfield. And especially if we do decide to put 8 in the box and go man to man. AJ Terrell, who actually had a pretty good week last week, and Casey Hayward, of course, on the other side, be able to stand up and do the things they have to do. David Njoku actually started to come last week against the Steelers. He had 9 receptions for 89 yards. So it seemed like he was the go-to target last week for Jacoby Brissett. So one of my keys is to be able to limit Amari Cooper and David Njoku, right? So those are things that we definitely have to look at and make sure that if we do decide, if we're able to stop the run and we want to force Jacoby Brissett to beat us, we want to make sure Amari Cooper and David Njoku is not freaking running around the field, down the field wide open. We want to make sure we be able to um, attempt and stop those plays on each possession. We had 8 pass defense in the defensive backfield against the Seattle Seahawks. that's good. We want to be able to continue things like that. So we want to make them pass the ball, and when we pass the ball, we want to be able to be in position to make a play on the ball. And you never know. Of course, tip drill, things like that. We can be maybe be able to actually, get a turnover in those instances. And then the last thing, my last key is what I just mentioned is see can we actually win the turnover battle this time, which means um, try to force a turnover um, with this team. That's one of the things that definitely what we have to do, be able to force a turnover. And we have not been in the plus in the turnover battle this whole season. So my key on offense is no turnovers, but one of my keys on defense is see can we actually create a turnover. I mentioned our offense having limited, offensive possessions because we know the Cleveland Browns want to run the ball and try to control the clock. So if we can able to, cause a turnover and give our offense an extra possession there, would definitely be helpful. So that's it. That's my key on defense. So just to recap, defensive keys for this week is stop the run. No secret there. I think if like I said earlier, if anybody's not thinking that we don't have to stop the run against the Cleveland Browns, is have not been watching football. We want to make Jacoby Brissett beat us. So the first two go hands in hand. We stop the run. We have those guys passing the ball more, right? And we want to be able to limit Mari Cooper and David Njoku, right? So we're going to make him pass the ball. We're going to be able to make sure that Amari Cooper not getting 9 receptions, 7 receptions for over 100 yards in back-to-back weeks. That's what he was able to do in back-to-back weeks, over 100-yard receiving, a lot of targets, 9 receptions one week, 7 receptions another week. So we have to limit Amari Cooper. Last week, David Njoku had 9 targets for 89 yards. So we have to make sure that we limit both of those guys. And then last thing but not least, create turnovers. We want to be able to create turnovers on defense. We want to be in the plus for the first time this season. A lot of teams that go out and look for that. I know Dan Quinn always talked about that when he was here. When you're looking at your defense and seeing how many turnovers you create and where you're at on the plus or minus. Right now, we are in the minus, and that's why we're 1-2. We definitely could have been 0-3 last week because we turned over the ball, so we was um, minus one last week because was able to force a turnover at the end of the game, but um, we have to make sure that we start to be the plus in the turnover battle. So guys, that's my offenses and defense. Last but not least, and most people always don't want to, you know, talk about special teams. But once again, what's going on, MacTown Dirty? Um, special team keys, right? Keys to victory with special teams is always, always, always could win or lose you games. Um, Young Waku last week hit 2 big field goals to help us pull off the victory in that game. So um, we definitely have to make sure that we actually are thinking about what we're going to do with our on our special teams. Rick Jones said, "What's going on? Look, 3-0 without turnovers." Exactly. Right now, we in the minus in turnovers, and if you think about it, we want to turn over the ball, go back to the Aints game, turnover in the red zone, not a turnover, but a fumble on a key 3rd down and 1 at the end of the game. We think about those kind of things. We could have definitely been happy about being those Aints on their first week. Week 2, the big turnover, under 2 minutes. We had the ball at the 20-yard line. Turnover in the red zone there. So things like that definitely is what we don't want from a turnover battle. And usually when teams are in the minus of turnover battles and in the minus in turnovers, they pretty much have a losing record. And right now we are 1-2 because of that. All right, so we, like I said, special teams is always the key. It's not something that people take a lot of things in it, because you might not have that exciting returner back there. We do have an exciting returner, but those guys that keep kicking it out the end zone because they don't want to give or Cordero or Patterson an opportunity to try to break that kickoff return record, because they just keep kicking it out of bounds or kicking over his head. So maybe we might get a coach that feel like he don't want to give up the 25 yards and kick it short, and maybe Cardell can actually get a chance to make a play on special teams. So, but my keys for special teams are always, pretty basic, because if we do these things on special teams, I think it bodes well for us to help our offense and our defense going both ways. The first thing is a big play. Big plays on special teams always are game changers for any team. We always talking about being able to, like I said, if we was able to run a punt return back or run a kickoff return back, that's always going to help. Being able to get a turnover, on special teams, we was able to do that. On a punt against the Los Angeles Rams, block the punt, scoop and score, and put us back in the game. So big play on special teams, a blocked field goal like we had last year in Miami. Um, any big play that you can think about on special teams is what we're trying to accomplish. So make a big play, go down on kickoff, knock the ball out, and cause a fumble. Um, anything that you can do is is on special teams, concerning a big play, will definitely help, our offense or defense, whatever special team play it is. Solid. When I talk about being solid on special teams, to me, when I think about special teams, it's about when you do have that big play, try not to get any flags on the play. A lot of time when you look at a big play, um, you always have to look and make sure no flag is on the field, because a guy get a 60-yard run on the return, and then you look in and everybody's pumped, but then you look down the field, you see a flag on the field. And so we have to be solid on special teams, make sure that we stay in our lanes on kickoff and punt, and don't give up any explosive runs on returns and things like that. But if we are able to, make a big play ourselves, need to be solid, make sure now we're not getting penalties. And the biggest thing on special teams for me is tackling. We got to be able to make sure that we can tackle and get the ball player down on the return game. Um, does their ST look? I'm not sure. I haven't really looked at their special teams to see if if they had any issues there. The biggest thing I seen from the Cleveland Browns is their secondary when they're playing zone defense. So I mentioned that. So if we could take advantage of that, I don't know how much they're going to get in zone. It looked like when they play man defense, they played a little bit better. But so we'll just have to see about their special teams. I have to go back and look at that. I'm not sure. I know they got a pretty good kicker. So we'll just have to see. Right, we need to see if CP can break that touchdown record. He's tied at 8 right now. If he can get number 9, I don't think he had a return this year so far on special teams on the kickoff, because, like I said, they've been kicking it out of bounds or kicking over his head. So of course, the NFL wants to take out the kickoff anyway. That's why they, gave the move the ball to the 25-yard line instead of the 20, to try to prevent guys from, having the incentive not running it out the end zone. And now you got kickers kicking it in the end zone. So you start at 25-yard line, vice to 20 I mean, that's just 5 yards, but at the same time, um, I do believe that if we do play in a outfield turf, he will have a chance opportunity to actually return a kick. return a kick, think about we might go to Cincinnati, go to Baltimore, those kind of games like that. He might have an opportunity to actually get a chance to return the kick because those are outside games. You know, the weather could definitely play a factor not being able to kick the ball in the end zone. So we'll see if CP actually gets an opportunity to actually return the kick. One thing we can note about CP, which is interesting, is the fact that last year, later in the season, because he was getting so much burn and churn on offense, he was took out of the kickoff return game to, to take the wear and tear off his body. That's why I said earlier, I think Tyler Algier is definitely somebody that we definitely need to be able to utilize more in the running game. And I mean letting CP take series off, not plays. So um, Tyler Algier, you're going to be in here for this series because we trust you to do the things that you can do. You can run the ball just so hard to CP. You can hit those holes like CP, and then we can create a two-headed monster. Because like on the who we're playing this week, I think the Cleveland Browns trust Kareem Hunt just as much as they trust Nick Chubb. So if Nick Chubb's not in the game, they're not going to change their game plan. They're going to run the same thing because they trust Kareem Hunt to do the same thing that Nick Chubb can do. And if we can actually see that more from our offensive standpoint, um, maybe CP can stay back in the special teams and kick off the whole season, unlike he was able to do last year. And then the last thing on special teams for me is field position. Like I said, we could definitely play the field position game. Um, all punts are not bad. We know that. If you're at midfield and if you punt the ball and you able to pin these guys deep, um, you switch the field. And then if your defense can create that 3 and out, um, you get the ball right back in good field position, and maybe you can get a good return to actually put you on their side of the field. So all punts are not bad. We need to make sure we play the field position game. I love the way Maurice Williams talk about special teams. It's the first play either on defense or offense, right? When you're looking at it. So whatever you're doing on special teams, especially on punt returns, kickoff return, kickoffs, it's the first play either on offense or defense, right? So wherever they get the ball at, you know, you're, that's where your defense going to pick up or your offense going to start to play. So look at it that way from a on special team standpoints. It falls right into our other two teams that contribute to making us get that W for this season. So guys, those are my keys to victory. Um, I am confident that we can win this game this week. Not as confident as I was last week against the Seattle Seahawks, even though we was playing in their stadium against, the atmosphere against the 12s. I'm not as confident, but at the same time, you know, potentially they could be without two of their best defenders in the game, Jadeveon Clowney and Myles Garrett. Like I said, I'm glad to see Myles Garrett is healthy. He did not get hurt, but if he can miss this game, hey, get better. He need to rest up and do the things he need to do to get back on the field. Jadeveon Clowney was out last week. The coach has not ruled any of those guys out, so I'm pretty sure the Falcons are, preparing like both of those guys are going to play. But if those guys not able to go, hey, that's why we say any given Sunday, because you don't know who's going to be in, who's going to be out, and you got to be prepared to play against, your opponent no matter what. These guys they're not going to come in feeling sorry for themselves, making excuses. I know they feel like they can actually run the ball down our throat this week. Um, they're definitely going to try. We got to be able to stand up at home. Like I said, if we want to create that home field advantage in Atlanta, um, this is one of the times we can stop Nick Chubb for doing the things that he's been doing the last 3 games. Just to recap, The first game, he averaged 6.4 yards a carry, 141 yards against the Carolina Panthers front defense, which is a pretty good defense. So that really scares me when you think about it. Um, he was able to play not as well against the Jets, but they created a big lead in that game, so they didn't have to run as much. But 87 yards for Nick Chubb in that game, 58 yards for Kareem Hunt. So, and then in the Steelers, he went for another 113 yards. So if we can able to stop Nick Chubb for doing the things he want to do, he's probably averaging like 5 yards a carry or even more. I'm not 100% sure, but we know it's up there. Um, just put that in perspective. Averaging 5 yards, he get the ball. It's 2nd and 5, so we definitely need to be able to stop the run. So we got this going on. What's up, family? We got Run CP to Miles Garrett's side. He might go for 150 yards. Yes, 100. Yeah, because Miles Garrett's trying to get the field, but you know, let's make sure Miles Garrett need to make sure that he's 100% back. It's a long season. You know, being in a car accident, you don't want to rush yourself back out there and being all sore and things. So Miles Garrett might need to sit out this week. Just saying. Um, do you think it will be back and forth like last week? I hate those kind of games, but I definitely do believe that we're gonna have a tough time. Start trying to stop their runs. Um, for some reason, the Falcons let the opposing quarterbacks, no matter how good they are, get comfortable. If we can create pressures, and I just go back to this season alone, the way we played Jameis Winston, pressure him, getting the ball out his hand, making him feel uncomfortable in that stadium for 3 quarters. If we can do the same thing to Jacoby Brissett, um, maybe it won't be a back and forth. Um, that's one of the things that we definitely need to see. Right, we must prepare like Garrett. Oh yes, they definitely is gonna prepare. Arthur Smith mentioned that today. Um, he has not ruled out Jadeveon Clowney or Miles Garrett this week, so I don't think nobody not expecting him not to play. But he did sustain, some injuries there, and I think if this was like week, going into a playoff game or something like that, he definitely will play, but they might be on the cautious side because it is just the fourth game of the season, and you know we're a physical team as well, so we're gonna bring it to Miles Garrett. So hopefully if he does play, he's back to 100% if he's going to get out there on the field. Big dog, your mic got a mean feedback. Oh, it does. Dang. Thanks for telling me that. Hold on, let me see here. I don't know if that's better. Just let me know if that's better. Uh, we need to send Lorenzo Carter and Troy Anderson to the edges with Evans spying. That's how we contain Nick Chubb. Hey, whatever it takes, man. Like I said, for me, I think we need to do more 4-3 this week. Um, Dean Pease have that multiple, being able to go multiple. So I would like them to go a little bit heavier on the front line. Bring those three linebackers out there: Troy Anderson, Walker, and Evans. Put them out there. So play more 4-3 this week, and try to stop the running game. That's what I would like to see from the defensive side of the ball. Or they can go big nickel and bring Eric Harris in that way. And because Eric Harris is a pretty big safety, so we can bring him in the box and, and play him at the big nickel position. Um, I could see that they did that a little bit with the Los Angeles Rams, so that could be a option for them as well. Whatever they do, Dean Pease, I know he's multiple, so he could play different ways. We could probably get him different looks as well to kind of not let them try to make so many adjustments. If we can just keep mixing it up, but whatever's working, that's what we want to do. So If we put Zoe out there and Anderson, then have Evan Spine, that'll work for me. But the big thing, just going back through my keys, is we got to be able to tackle. If we can't tackle, um, it is not gonna matter because we know Nick Chubb is not going down to arm tackle. So some of those tackles that they made last week against Penny, um, I don't think it'll work against Nick Chubb. What's up? Drady says we gotta beat the Browns and we need to take the ball out of Mariota's hands in the fourth quarter. Oh man, um, we just got to hopefully. That's one of my keys. Our offense is no turnovers, right? We just got to play clean football this week. It hurt us in the first two games. We definitely can say if we want to turn the ball over in those first two games, we might have had a chance to win. Um, so one of my keys on offense this week is to make sure that we have a clean football game, no turnovers. Okay, thanks, man. Let's see here. What's going on, Recondo? We probably play big nickel defense to help stop the running. That's what I'm saying. We might play that big nickel. I agree with you. Um, but if that's not working, let's bring in four defensive linemen and three linebackers. Um, you still want your best players out there. You want to see Lorenzo Carter out there. You want to see Epic Katie. Um, Okendaji is usually really good in the run. I think early in the game last week, he kind of crashed too hard and he lost contain a couple of times on the backside. Um, so definitely, uncharacteristic for him because he actually is usually pretty good in the run game. Okendaji is, but got to make sure that we don't let these guys bounce the ball outside. Keep it in, flush it back into our linebackers. So we can do those game tackles that I talked about. Um, we need to run CP or Algier late in the fourth quarter. Exactly. But we got to make sure that, like Thea mentioned earlier, we got to make sure if it's one of those back and forth games, hopefully we can get into the 4 minute offense and run the ball like we tried to do against Seattle before we had that turnover. I think we had took their heart from them in that game. I don't think they was going to get the ball back. I think we was gonna move the ball like we was moving it, and we was going to actually probably score on that drive at least 3 points at the least, and because they couldn't stop us, we had those guys on the rope, and then the turnover, right? So if we can get into a 4 minute offense, I would love to see that. These guys just run the ball, down these guys' throat. We we know this. We know that Arthur Smith wants to run the ball, right? That's the kind of offensive mindset he has, and we know that the Cleveland Browns wants to run the ball. So overall, this should be a pretty physical game in the trenches this week. Um, and it could be one of those low scoring games. We'll just have to see how it goes. If the mindset is everybody coming out and trying to stop the run. However, I think like one of my keys on offense here is take advantage of our mismatches. Um, so if they want to stop our running game, um, we have two explosive weapons out there. Out in the wide receiver, tight end realm, that we definitely can exploit those mismatches. Put Kyle Pitts out there on the edge, and they have to figure out if they're going to put a corner on him, if they're going to put a linebacker on him, or a safety. Either way, Kyle Pitts is have the advantage in that matchup, right? Drake London is being outstanding right now, leading rookies on the offensive side. From a explosive standpoint, the things he's able to do, looking like a Wally vet out there. So I love the things that Drake London's been doing as well. So being able to exploit our mismatches, right? Those are things we got to see. Um, we definitely can't forget about Olamide Zaccheaus. He's been quietly having a pretty good season as well. So we want to make sure that we mention Lumberdays the kids, who's been a disappointment and who was actually inactive for us is Brian Edwards. He's been like a no show. He didn't even play last week, the first 2 weeks. Um, so we made a trade for Brian Edwards. I thought he could definitely be that number two guy, but he's been like an afterthought right now. I don't know if he's not, the ball's not coming his way or what it is, but the fact that they decided to make him inactive and go with Jared Barnhart last week was kind of interesting to see. But we definitely need to see what's going on with Brian Edwards because we like I said, we made a trade for this guy and been a no show. So we do definitely want to look at, you know, give Lumdace kids his props, Drake London doing his thing, and then we start to see Kyle Pitts wake up. All right. I can tell you the one thing that really irks me about um Kyle Pitts and his production is that first play of the game. And and what I mean by this is if you think about it, you all knew, everybody knows, like the first 15 or so plays are scripted, that these guys went over these plays like through the week, right? And we know that they're gonna come out, and that's why the offense looks so good a lot of times the first series, because they got the first 15 plays scripted, they went over the plays, they know. So that first play that was called to Kyle Pitts, they practiced that play. And I'm pretty sure Arthur Smith said, if you get this look, this the play we're gonna go with. And they got the look they wanted. Kyle Pitts burnt his man right up the seam, and Marcus Mariota, you know, overthrew him. You have to make that play. You practice it all week. It was not a play that just out the blue. That Trust me, that was the first play of the game on offense. We all knew that they was going to get that rock, and that's the play they called. So I kind of disheartening that we can't hit Kyle Pitts, on the first play of the game on a play that we knew was going to run, and you've been practicing all week. He got to hit that shot. That would have been a touchdown. The momentum would have been completely there for the Falcons in that first play of the game. So just saying that we have to make those plays. Um, those are kind of plays that we got to make. Um, it didn't kill us and things like that. But those kind of plays that Marcus got to make, especially when like I said, that was the first play. It was scripted. We know they knew they was going to take a shot with Kyle Pitts right at the beginning of the game, and we missed it. Got to drop 30 on Cleveland to win. I think they averaged 30. We're in the top 10 scoring, so we can score. We definitely can score. This offense has been a pleasant surprise. And not saying Marcus Mario is playing bad. I think he's playing decent, but with better quarterback play, this offense would probably be in the top 5 right now. Just to be honest with you. Um, yeah, but why do teams play better on the road? Yeah, I don't know. I don't. I don't know why we play better on the road. We got to play better in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. That's the only way we can try to create that home field advantage. We got to start making it be, you know, when you come there, teams don't want to come. It'd be interesting to see how many Brown fans show up in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Usually, um, you know, Atlanta is a melting pot of all kind of different, sport team fans. So for some reason, every week there'd be just as many fans from the other team there than Atlanta Falcons fans. So, but we got to try to create a home field advantage for the Atlanta Falcons, because if we can't do that, um, then it's like we playing all our games on the road. We never get that advantage. Um, like I said, and I know I'm gonna keep saying this, but that game we played against the Aints it was a great atmosphere. If we could have came out and actually won that game, just think how much momentum we would have coming into this game this week. Um, I think the fans would be ready and be hyped, knowing that we utilized that to catapult us, to our win against the Aints. Being over 500 for a first time since 2000 and I think 18. So it's been a while since we've been over 500. It's been a while since we've been at 500. So going 2-2 this week will be big for us. It's a big game for the Browns as well because they could definitely go 1-3 just like us. So I think it's going to be a good battle, like Arthur Smith mentioned on his press during his press conference today. And we just got to go out and play our game. It's our home game. Um, just put this in perspective before I go. It's the last thing I'm gonna say is the fact that we was picked to win 2 games this year. We were supposed to go 2-15. If we win our second game of the season in week 4, um, we already it's one step ahead of what the daughter said that we was gonna be. We 2-2 after week 4, and they only said we was gonna go 2-15. So just put that in perspective for this team. Um, Young team going in the right direction. Did some great things last week. A lot of things that we need to clean up. But if these guys can do some of these keys, um, in my opinion, that I laid out today, I think they definitely have a chance to win. Um, Going off my predictions that I did before the season, I had the Falcons winning this game. Um, I had us being the Aints as well, but I had us winning this game. So um, hopefully my prediction was right. We'll just have to see what these guys was able to do. So, guys, that's all I have today. Thank you guys for coming in, tuning in. If you have not, subscribe to the channel, go ahead and please subscribe to the channel. Please hit that like button. And then please share my video for more Atlanta Falcon fans to come in, and share these Atlanta Falcons moments with me, the good and the bad, right? Because it's been a lot more bad than good, but the good therapy coming on here and talking with you guys is good for all us Falcon fans to feel like we have that family, you know, for real Falcon fans, right? Because we got some fair weather fans, but for real Falcon fans to come in and talk about what we see, how this team can improve, and then when they put it all together, um, and actually, you know, put a great team on the field, we all something that we can be proud of. So, um, say we've been last time we was over 500, 2017. It's almost 5 years, guys. So let's see, can we get to 500 this week, right? Against a good Cleveland Brown team. You probably go back. Nobody probably looking for Atlanta to win this game this week, but with a top 10 offense, pretty solid, you know, tenacious, put it all out there defense at home, knowing what they're trying to do is run the ball. Maybe we can actually get to 500 this week. So, guys, that's all I have. Like I said, thanks you guys for coming in, listen to me ramble on about the keys this week. Hopefully, these guys can get another win, and then we could talk about another victory Monday, victory post game talk after they get that win. So this is your boy Recondo coming back at you with another video. Peace.